Is there anything on that? Is there
It was light on it
Pass it to
when you were fiddling with the screen before.
you see what I like it.
Oh, that's right, it's on.
Oh, it should be on. Yeah, it should be on. See the thing that you want
Brilliant.
We have to go down. You see that's not.
Should we just video or just
It's live stream.
Just wait. Just wait.
Remember the day? Kind of more. It's great for me. And we can try.
I'm quite happy to do it, that's not very cool doing. We can't get people to it.
No, the stuff that's meetings for years, not recorded, so.
No, we want to just wait for me to see if it goes.
Yeah, it's alright, it's working.
That's working.
It's not right. So our meeting shop, we begin, we will shop out, so that was right.
Okay. Right, in which case, very much to the meeting tonight. Last meeting of March and the last meeting of this committee's round of committee meetings. In which case, we got apologies for absence.
Apologies from councillors Harvey, Allen and Ron.
And declarations for interest. In which case we have a public session, which I should have done mine first, I apologise. We have Mr. Lionel Weston here talk to us about an event that he's organising in the community. You want to tell us, Lionel?
You probably are aware of it already informally. I thought it was courtesy formally to let you know as a committee what we're planning to do, because it's happening on Saturday, May the 23rd, which is the day before your big event in the football club, which will have no impact on that whatsoever. It will be a nice weekend for the people of Buckingham to enjoy Saturday and Sunday activities. But I brought a poster just to let you, what I realise I haven't got long. I'm speaking on behalf of Chris Gardner, who is the chair of Rotary, myself, and the chair of the action group in Buckingham with Cancer Research UK. Collaboration project, but the ultimate aim is to deliver 7,000 food cans to local food banks. Buckingham, Winslow, Twyford, Bicester, Brackley and Toaster. Did I say? That's 6 ingredients.
You did.
With a 15-mile radius, because 7,000 food cans, you may think goes a long way, but it doesn't go very far. It could last about 2 months probably with that, but it will be a help. That's the ultimate aim. During that process, what we're trying to do is obviously have a lot of fun and an opportunity for full food cans side by side all around the heartlands, which is the area, as you know, the Waitrose car park. It belongs, is responsible of the responsibility of Bucks CC. So I don't think we're impacting on you as a council at all, but it's something that you should be aware of. We're going through all the proper channels, and it involves 20 local groups, schools, Women's Institute, quite a lot, all collecting 25 metres worth of cans, which equates to 350 cans, all measured out. You bring them in the morning, you have a lot of fun in the afternoon. We've got 3 hours of entertainment, refreshments, games, all the games, everything is on the theme of cans. So we've got, for example, Can Man, superheroes coming, dressed in cans. His superpower is feeding the world. Good example. Lots of other things going on. There is two charities involved in this, the Rotary and the Cancer Research UK. Obviously, when people donate money, they need to know where their money is going. So our objectives are very, very specifically split. I won't go into details. If you do need to know any more details, I can. Obviously, I've been in touch with communication with Zoe over this event, so I suspect you're well aware of what's happening. It's all done sort of on a voluntary basis. You know, Rotary have tremendous number of volunteers. Cancer Research, we have many volunteers as well. And obviously the whole thing will be a community event. Hopefully, time can't continue if the weather is wet. Because the obvious reasons that cans will lose their labels and then become useless. In the case of a wet weather forecast, we will go indoors, possibly up to Embleton Way, do away with the whole event, still collect cans, and the end result will be achieved. Also putting an installation outside the jail made of tin cans. That's in process at the moment. I don't think there's anything else that I need to say except that as long as you're aware of what's happening and any impact that transpires between now and the date, obviously I'll be communicating with Zoe again in the administration department to help support or whatever.
Thank you, I do remember what I said, the first was Lucy and Pete.
Wasn't so much question, just thank you for speaking to us, 'cause that's just a knock to memory of when I was at Grenville when we did a can drive, and I just remembered lines, like everyone in school lining them all up. But I don't know, Grenville, we had it going right from the playground area at the top, snaking down that path, going down to the sort of sports area at the bottom.
Yes, yeah.
And I think it'd be great. I think you'd love it, and I'm really excited to see
No,
how that holds out for you.
I was part of the Milton Keynes, they broke the Guinness Book of Records with their longest cans, and that was huge.
Yeah.
This is nothing. That was,
Lisa,
Thank you. Are you collecting cans? Like, do you have a can drop off if people wanted to donate a can?
not before the event.
Yeah.
No, on the day of the event, leaving space for people to extend their cans with their individual contributions if they'd like to. But if you, it will be published. If you know the group who are collecting cans, I'm sure they would accept your offer of donation.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
any other questions? But can I thank you, Lionel, thank you for all this, and we are in fine weather for the weekend.
Yes, it will be a bit of a non-event.
I think it's going to be fine. I have it'll be fine.
Normally we go ahead, but with the cans involved.
Now, I'm glad you made.
We've got 600 metres of clean film with this.
Can I have a video of you riding out the clean film? Right. Well, that's more. Breathe out. I'd just like to have the other minute silence, please. A friend of mine and previous district councillor for Buckingham for a number of years, and Mayor of Buckingham, Councillor Bob Lehman, has passed away, and he was good enough. So can we have a minute silence, please? Thank you very much. Only birthday, I've got permission from the family. But the mayor,
Just ask.
this case will sort of not too much, but got my family which case, we can move on to the agenda, please. Seven minutes, which everyone happy with those, wouldn't they? Okay, thank you. In which case, move on to budgets. And they are what they are. Was there any questions on that? Which case, you note those, please. Updates of representatives on outside bodies. Anything significant to say? Nothing I need to say to do with this committee, but I've got plenty of it, so I don't think I need to do this. Right.
I'm not sure whether it really, well, it does impact this. I had a conversation with the acting vice chancellor of the university on Friday at my sheriff's. So, and he is looking to very much work and hand over to whoever is coming in to get further ties between the town council and the university and the town of the university. Restarting the functioning meetings. So yeah, the conversation is open.
Good, yeah.
Not that it's anything to do with maybe though and if the town council lady club meeting, it's not anything to do with this, just to say that there was a very inspiring presentation from Terry Cavender at the meeting, which I think if anyone's not seen the actual presentation, I think it would be useful. I'll send it to Zoe if she hasn't got it and circulate it to everyone. There's a lot of information there. I think I think it'll be fine. Terry won't mind if they've seen it because he's let me circulate. I think it's just that it's a very big issue and not time to talk about it, but it might be something that the environment might want to talk about in there. And maybe they'll come to something after. It was a very big presentation. A lot of work. Credit to him, credit to you. In which case, thank you. Move swiftly on. In which case, we've got Rotary Eastward, not Buckingham. Sorry about that. It's always a slip there, isn't it? Buckingham, yeah, Eastern. And who looked at it? Okay.
It's just to note the report. The Rotary Club are doing their annual Easter letter hunt again. We're supporting by doing the map, the design, creation, and promotional stuff, and they'll be offering the opportunity to win two £25 vouchers that will be spent locally to winners. So it's just to note that we're working with them on that again this year.
Everything correct? So just note that and we probably will we end up making that for them. We are.
Okay.
Yeah, we can make that. Thank you. Which case, item 7 is something which was discussed in the previous meeting to do with the Holocaust Memorial Stone. There is a report attached. It's Nina. You've got any questions on it? It's a thorough report looking at the possibilities and whatever, whether we wish to consider it being moved or we don't wish to consider it being moved. Would you like to comment on the report, Nina, before I ask questions?
Meeting where to reflect on the rationale behind why we made those decisions, which have been calculated in here. So it's really around looking at what those original objectives were, and then putting them forward if we're going to think about moving the stone in the future. If anyone's got any other any other location ideas? We've also, I would have talked about this in the team meeting as well, the green spaces team and everyone else in the office, so anyone can suggest.
Okay, Lisa.
Thank you. I would be wary of moving it too far away from where it is now, because the location is good, especially for the school. Like to keep the school children involved in that, I think is really positive. I do like up by the picnic benches at the top where the car park is, because it is so much higher. And I know that there was a comment about there's already a piece of art there in that location, but this isn't about art, this is about remembrance. So I don't think that really matters, the fact that that is there. I just think having it on higher ground, I mean, where it is now, you know, we said for years, it's one place, and we're showing photographs in meetings of it being flooded regularly. That's what we were told, it's every 100 years, flood. But that is a lot of higher ground, and it is still close and in proximity to children at home. So if we're going to have a suggestion, I'd go with that probably.
Yeah, I mean, to echo what Lisa said, my only other suggestion potentially would have been to have the Bratchley Road Cemetery already, the new cemetery once it's completed, but that would wipe out any possibility of school children being able to walk there. And as Lisa said, I think it's really important, not only that they're involved from a positive point of view, but that they get that experience of listening to people's experiences and listening to always being told around them, so that it gives them a more tangible feeling of kind of the horrors that went on during the Holocaust, and it's less of a textbook lesson. So yeah, it was very ballpark. It makes sense to keep it within that ballpark area.
Just to come back to the report, apologies, it is quite a lengthy one. Point 3 is the locations that are considered in 2020, which is the car park 1 and Borden Park in general. So the new cemetery is in point 6, one of the new suggestions, as well as Nest Hill and other ones. One of the main stretches of having it next to the car park in Borden Park is tarmac, basically. Has to have an accessible path for people in scooters and wheelchairs. So we don't have a tarmac path from the car park that goes into that green space that we're referring to, like picnic benches. So we just said that we couldn't install one, so that comes at quite a hefty cost. So tarmac, and depending on where it is with the gradients as well. As it goes to in the report, there are quite a number of things that we would have to take into consideration. It would be great if we were to choose a location that we could have that. Rather than just a little retrospect.
And I thank you for that.
We've only to council rules. Might just be, so is it going to be all right or not? On both sides. Really best really to see what happens next year. And if there's significant flooding again, it's really it's time to consider it. And also if the flood alleviation works actually get done at any point in the next 20 years, whether that makes any significant impact on whether that area goes continue to flood.
Yeah, I agree with Fran. I think it's obviously been totally flooded on this occasion. However, because it's up in January, every year it's always kind of,
It's always touching it.
yeah, it's always touching and going. The weather can be in such a huge position.
Watch and wait.
Yeah, because in every other aspect, that place is ideal. There's a footpath with loads of space for gatherings. So, and I don't think, you know, the other car park building wasn't over the same level of space to huge gap. And to set it up in the same way, so I think if anything gets done about flooding, let's just give it another year or so. And then make a decision, unless we absolutely have to make it. So.
And then there's also Nina and the team were able to put an effective plan B in place at very short notice.
Yeah.
So it's not that we disregarded the Memorial Day in any way, we just did it in a slightly different way. And now we've done that once, the paving to do that again, if we needed to, would be easier. Fran, you know, you did your bit as well, so there is a plan B in place that was, and you know, I think Nina went out and made sure that no one was there and was going to get sort of waterlogged, and so we have now put a plan B in place.
Listening to less anyone on misunderstanding it, are we agreeing to let the drive in principle for another year and renew it at the end of the 12-month period, and if it happens again next year, then that confirms that we have to do it. In the meantime, something may present itself.
I propose that we make the recommendations and agree to watch and wait.
I second that.
All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you, Nina, for the report.
Yeah.
In which case we'll move on to carers fair.
Careers.
Careers fair. Yeah, you're right.
There as well. So it's just, this is another report from Anna, it's one of her projects that she's on. The recommendation is that the members note the report that we're planning to host a careers day on Thursday, the 29th of October 2026 from 5 PM in the community centre. All of the details are there. I'll happily read them through, but you're only noting the report and it's not until October.
Yeah.
We happy to note that.
Yeah.
I'd like to thanks to the business and community engagement officer.
Is that seconded?
All by the rules and
All those in favour? Yeah, unanimous. Right, in which case we'll move on to, and I've got the glass in there, so we may get this right. Armed Forces Day. And next order. Thank you.
So, Claire and I, background is Claire and I had a conversation about the importance of Armed Forces Day. I know it says some words on Armed Forces Day that we raised the flag and we have the town flag there. We thought it might be nice just to do a small event following it. So I've spoken to the veterans, I've spoken to the cadets and the army cadets are looking back there, cadets are keen to get involved. I've got to hear that I've spoken to Ms Simons and Mr Reilly from RBL, and they now go back and said yes, they would like to get involved. So has some contacts as well from her partner. So we're not really sure 100% what it will look like. We've got the exercise yard in the old jail booked, and it may be just information, a little display by the cadets, both units, hopefully. Just a couple of hours after the heat, but nothing is cast in stone. It's just a little more respect for the forces and the veterans in town.
Lisa and then Ravina.
So we go for recommendation, go on Jen. Yeah, I'd like to second that and also say thanks for looking into it. I think it's a great idea.
With the recommendation, it is not sure the times of meetings.
It fits in, I think we looked at that in
Yeah.
the next meeting.
So we can put it on,
Yeah,
if there's something significant we need to know, you'll put it on the next agenda. But if we're very happy with the work, is that agreed? Right. Now, item 10, which is by Eat Club, which is very much, I think it was the report is Paula's report, so Paula takes us through it.
So obviously this was something new, that's something that I wrote last year, and Tim from Rifle basically wants to do more. It's a really successful event, and his proposal was that they do 5 events between April and August on the last Saturday of every month. And we talked about it with Claire, with Zoe, and we looked at what might be a better option, because staffing 5 events is quite a lot.
They're long events, aren't they? They're a long day.
Yes, yeah.
And so we looked at the other options. We had a meeting with Tim, and we talked about possibly sponsoring rather than organising and staffing, to no extra cost, and he would cover the extra costs for that one. So we would pay for the venue hire and the hiring of the bins. We take a small contract out just for that period of time for the bins to a maximum of 15, which is what we budgeted, what's agreed. And every other cost he would cover, and he would put on 5 events with sponsored by Buckingham Town Council, and we would promote the events, and we would have a banner as well, but we wouldn't need to staff it.
I just asked, is that 1,500 for all 5 events?
All of them each, and which was what was budgeted for.
Right.
But because the agreement was that it was successful last year, and we agreed to move 2 events, so that would be the 3, and that would be the 2 for 3 times 5.
Thank you. Just to say, we talked through this thoroughly, didn't we? And I've got it. Before I go to them, I'll just grant thoughts on it, then I'll come to these.
No, please, yes.
Yeah, Lisa,
Please.
Thank you very much. Yeah, just to confirm that those staff will be needed from town council. Perfect, I'm happy to go to recommendation, both of them.
Any significant, is
I think it's a great way to do it.
You're essentially getting more events.
I was really keen, having seen similar business, to bring something like this to you. And the collaboration with White Club last year went so well. Yeah, it was a really good event. So yeah, I'm absolutely in agreement with this.
anything else that you, just to say that I think it's quite a significant step, but I also think it's has to be noted how much work Paul has done to negotiate with, to make sure that it, and so make sure that it actually can happen. And this is getting a lot of what we're investing into this, as Rebecca brought out the questions. That I do think that with members' agreement, it's something that we at the appropriate time should do a press release on about this. We would do anyway, but I suppose that we do. Yeah. We agree the recommendation first, and secondly, that in agreeing that we agree that we do a press release.
Yeah.
Do we have the recommendation?
Yeah.
Agree, and show hands. That's the recommendation. And secondly, just to we'll do a press release. Thank you. Right, in which case we can move swiftly on to forthcoming events. All seems good. In which case we've got May Day, we'll see a report from Paula.
Just saying, we weren't sure whether May Day would be happening, because Debbie, who's done it for years and years, that's actually retired this year, and she was unsure. I spoke to her as to whether it would go ahead, but the head of PE at Broad Meadow is quite keen, so that's really good. So it's taking place on the 1st of May from 10:30, and the town crowd will be there to open it. We've also got Leicester Academy taking part, and Buckingham Primary School will be taking part. George Brennan were invited, Aikwood Junior School were also invited, but I have chased everything with that. So it is the only thing which is very good.
That was
So thank Paula for putting the work in to coordinate all this, and make sure it's going ahead. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
It's really nice.
another great job.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I think it's great saving.
Yeah.
We were worried that we'd lose this event, and
Yeah.
thanks to the work we do, I think we saved it So as I said, we just agree with recommendation.
Yeah.
Agree.
I propose it.
Seconded by Dean. Agree.
Yeah.
Thank you. Buckingham Live report, it's obviously forward again.
So, with the last couple of years, we've been successful events at football clubs, so the plan is to go ahead this time. Obviously, we're supporting, the Buckingham Live do what the acts and what the vendors and, you know, the food traders and so on, we do bits of paperwork. So Susie has booked quite a few things, so I think she's getting the hen lady again and
She's getting
race
all of
vendors, all of it, all of the traders, she's got the vendors. The only, it's not really a sticking point, so the license, obviously, you know, the license went to committee. So a few weeks ago, so they're still waiting for a premises license, is mid-April. And they won't know until then they've got a premises license. However, they've still got a certificate that they're trading under at the moment, and it has exactly the same, and that's what they traded under last year, so it won't make any difference. The only difference it will make to us is whether we have 1 or 2 10s licenses, so we'll wait till we get that decision. That's the already market, so we don't know.
That does. Grant?
It's worked really well down there. I think Susie's done a brilliant job with her team. And the collaboration again with the council is a really positive thing.
That you your recommendation. Accepted by and what we've got that just to say that if you want to comment on the application license, it is online. I do believe that we supported it anyway, so and the license can go that they just go through this. There's a comment on the license and it's going through, but what people don't realise with the club, which is if you ever meet them, no matter organisation, they let use that ability for very low cost, and even people who are in the town in Deptford Straits, they let them have their there, and they're very good, and obviously many organisations use it. So I think they are putting back into the community big time now, and so let's hope that the licensing is challenged, but we are reassured it won't affect the event, which is important. But we'll talk about the other if it needs to be talked about. But it is a public meeting, the licensing meeting, it is webcast. I haven't been asked to sit on it for some reason. Only get an application back in. Not asked to sit on. Not that I know anything. But anyway, that goes through. So those right on the report.
Most recommendation.
Seconded. Right, all those agreed unanimously. Okay, in which case we move on to Fringe Week. Now, there's been a lot of work gone into this. So it's quite different in some ways what we've done, and quite similar to what we've done. The thing in the report that I'm cutting across the border is the collaborative work with the farm on the environment thing. But if Paul wants to give us a bit more detail as ownership, and then I'll come back to Lucy and then work my way around.
Okay, so obviously we've gone with the nature and wildlife theme that was decided on. And so we got quite a lot of books, it's all there, nice books coming and nature makers, so it's all absolutely things for children and learning the insects and stuff as that would be. The collaborative events, we added a couple more to those, and this is I can't take credit for this, and was talked to a lot of the businesses and asked them if they would like to get involved. And the bookshop at Phone today was they're going to do a story time where they were single teachers and Film Place are going to put on the people's emergency briefing. Did you know about this?
Yes, so that was Heather spoke about it at the end of the meeting. So it's essentially about the climate people's emergency briefing that was held in London thing. And kind of the responses to it. So it's kind of a video documentary about that and what happened and discussions about that.
So they're going to do that probably on a Friday evening. National Trust have confirmed that they're definitely going to get involved in it in a couple of days as well. It's unlikely that we'll be able to do the outside cinema that would be long because it's so expensive. We looked at it ourselves, it's thousands. It's a lot of money, but they're definitely going to have it. So it's going to be a quite packed country.
Come back forward being there.
We won't be having environment meeting. Bearing as the theme is kind of the natural world, it was brought up at the end of our meeting whether we could do something with, so we've got our town butterfly or our town insect, it's about Gatsby, and the town tree is the if we could possibly incorporate something of that, if you're going through you as chair to an event, it's the environment could possibly piggyback off it, and whether we do a press release of some kind of like almost like a treasure hunt, so I feel it to be a
Before I go to being at this event is the outline, this will grow or we will be working on this. Nothing you said contradicts anything that we want to do. We want the full event. If the environment committee wants to add to the event, that's a really good thing.
So we're doing a nature trail in North Park. I haven't, I'm going to make it and do it what I haven't decided on. It's not, you know, it's in my head, but it's not. So that could certainly, so, yeah.
it's black poplars, I think, I'm sure there's a lot of people, yeah. Black hair spooks are probably less likely to see it, but we could sit.
Some animals in trees and insects in trees hanging from there, which is what one of the aims is to follow the trail. And there's no reason why they can't just visit Golden Park maybe.
Yeah.
For weeks.
That'd be amazing. That sounds very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say that from when we started on this day, that's really to what we have now, it's very impressive and really exciting, slightly new direction, so much work that's gone into it, so thank you. I'm really looking forward to it.
I'd echo what Rebecca said, really, I'm basically, is there a recommendation on there yet? We're not basically accept the recommendation, thanks.
For its recommendation, note that it's in our budget. In the recommendation, that doesn't include an added stuff here, and I'm sure that if there's something niche, what we can come back with, we've still got a meeting before this goes live, allocate budget to this event, so if something comes up, we need to spend money on, because we spoke about the cinema thing, and obviously you've gone away and researched it, and it's far too expensive. One thing I trust my mind, and it's not going to cost money, is that David Attenborough has been a good part of all our lives. There can't be anyone in who's not ever watched a BBC documentary who hasn't seen something about David Attenborough. Now, one of the things I thought to myself, I don't know if it's possible to be done with the guys, is the everyone to sort of include people in the community. What was your favourite? It isn't important.
It's already spoken to us about it and
It's in my mind. Well, thank you. Going back to that thing that I missed in the report that I did. It's just that thing to me was how I see it. I mean, you cannot forget David Attenborough sitting in the jungle with all the gorillas sitting on him when I was a young person. And in later work, you cannot forget the Green Planet stuff, which is modern. How he took technology and advanced with it to talk the story of the world that we tragically ruin or we live in. So this is it. And I please, in the green recommendation, you have something significant other than what I've just said already in the report. Significant, which I needed to talk about, that's why I said it. Please send it in, and we have got that with them, and the agreement recommendation that isn't laid down. And once the agreement recommendation, I'll ask that at the appropriate time we, which will close to the event, that we agree that with the press release, which can then encapsulate all these other things. And I can see Lucy's like me wanting to talk again. Can't listen.
I was just wondering, a publicity email or something, and could we just say, we just want to say to the town council that we're taking inspiration from David Attenborough's 100th birthday, and we're dedicating our Fringe Week this year to the natural world because it's inspired so many of us. We might get nothing back, and might just get a thank you for your email, but you never know.
Regina?
So I was thinking of other events where, you're thinking about the most iconic clips, so it has to be one of the later ones where those lizards are going, the snakes.
Yeah.
For me, in recent memory, that is the most iconic.
The one where it gets some time.
Yeah, I was thinking we could do like some sort of where people have to get through, but we're not.
That sounds like
Way
a
the
successful.
So many ideas.
I'm sure this is going to happen. Would it, members think it's unreasonable to just do a short press release that this year's Fringe is on David Attenborough? Some of the, so that we can get the schools interested in it. I'm sure you'll do that.
Can I just, so the Fringe brochure goes to print in May. So when they will go through people's doors, so it will all be, everybody will get that, it will all be there, and then we'll start press releases out, so it will be early.
Yeah,
We'll have that finalised.
It's just, my family teach, and I can imagine this is something that if I was teaching, I would have great pleasure actually involving children with this neutral subject. There's not much in this world that you can be neutral with.
They're probably waking up for sunrise.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
No, July.
Oh, sorry, I think it's not.
Fringe Week is basically.
Yeah, in this case, we've got tiny children that get involved for it, part of it. We sometimes have Fringe events before, and we sometimes have after the Fringe.
The only thing I would comment on that is through one of the other working groups that trying to get schools interested in something which is not in their curriculum and finding time for that extra work is very difficult because we tried it, I think last year or the year before with the CGI working group. And
Exactly.
didn't get really response.
So try and shoehorn something in.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look like it's early to us, but it's late.
Yeah.
Please.
Primary schools, I'm sure some of them have that forest school.
Yeah.
They might be up to, they might want to bring with that into it somehow, because it's partly curriculum.
And they all did through the chair, or dragged into all got involved in the Great Fire document. So they did bend to that in some way. But it's really reliant on the teacher being able to do it and the school not doing it. So we could notify them that we're doing this. So when they come back, it's really, the curriculum and everything we said, we accept that they may not do it, but parents might want to do it separately.
I think the fact that the framework's released in there, all the lesson plans for the summer term will all be there.
Yeah.
like, they've been there for a while,
So,
so that they will have their topics, they will have their.
well,
It's something that you have to get in really early on, but on Lucy's point of contacting, I'm sure David Ashton has put this that we can contact. We can't obviously now send them messages on X6, we've shut that down. But I'm sure there was few ways of doing it.
I'd be disappointed if you was spreading case on it.
It's fine. We just bring it back to the record.
Yeah.
And getting it.
Yeah.
Chance.
well, we're going to go back to recommendation, but there is a proposal of second. We'll take afterwards. We'll agree the recommendation that, but that was to write to David Attenborough, which isn't in here, and I think we have to agree that if that's the instruction.
If you're going to put that forward, it will need to be.
Yeah.
I propose that we write to David.
Second, by Robin, all those in favour of that?
Do we not have to vote on what we do?
No, we're voting on that, and then we're going to vote on the recommendation. Those in favour of the recommendation, proposer and seconder.
I'll propose.
No, because I've already proposed it.
Okay. Let's just not worry about who voted. I think we're in very much agreement. Let's not fall out.
It's so what we
Okay.
need to do that.
Okay, we know that.
Get it to. Are we voting later?
We've got so many.
Why are you going?
It's partly because and lastly, I propose that the appropriate primary address these, all those who make their conditions. Okay, thank you. In which case, we very much agree that everyone wanted to propose that second bit and vote for it. So that's really jolly good in this. It's better than being dull. Right, calendar of events. There's no change on the calendar of events as it is. Event review, Easter Fair.
I've got pen for it.
Yes, Pancake Race.
Yeah.
Well, I've done calendar of events, event review, it says.
I have French with calendar of events.
It says calendar,
Yeah.
Easter Fair, it says Easter Fair on the agenda.
Oh, that's because it's verbal, because we haven't asked.
Exactly, so you can, so I'm following the agenda. I know you thought I wasn't following the agenda, no, you're not following the agenda, but, you know, so I just wanted to correct you, this opportunity, but in this case, I was right.
We're going to the 12th then.
No, not yet.
No, we're not. We've just,
No, online rather.
no,
No.
On Easter Fair.
Easter Fair.
Oh, we have 12 kind of.
We haven't done Easter Fair.
I don't know it's with
We just noticed it,
Oh,
no change.
oh, okay, thanks.
All right,
Right,
So Easter Fair.
So anyway, as you're all being very friendly and let's do Easter Fair, which is
Shall I do?
you can do that.
There was an arts and crafts room and there was a sort of small traders fair in the sports hall. We had just under 200 people in attendance and it was about 50-50 between adults and children. It was magic, it was busy, it was everything we would want an event to be. The face paint had people queuing for doors. And it was young and old alike. We had everything from babes in arms through to some of our mature residents, all coming for different reasons and all getting what they wanted out of the event. And even though the weather up there was at times sideways rain and wind coming from all directions, people were still looking up and turning up. So I think it was a really good event. The arts and crafts were particularly busy. We tried some different things and some new things. And there was as many adults enjoying the arts and crafts this time as there were young people. So a good event had by all. I don't think I missed anything particularly too. There was no hassles, no difficulty at all. And it was a good event. My only comment would be that it was 2 until 4. And we've had some discussions about whether we should have it maybe 1 till 4 or something like that, because it's quite a lot to squeeze into. It becomes a lot of work around it for this real polarised 2 hours. And it feels that as soon as people are there, they're almost going. So there might be a discussion in another report when we're arranging it for next year, whether we extend the time slightly, but we'll sit and have a wash-up meeting and see how that lands and then bring it to the committee. What do you think, Melissa?
No, that's fine, it was Patty's event, she arranged it all, it's very good.
Can we, I went to it and what was quite good fun, watching children going looking one way, and then they came out with a new face, because they went back out the door, and wasn't many who didn't get painted.
No, many children got their face painting, and she carried on as we were clearing up the event to make sure she got through her queue of people.
Yeah.
So no one went home without what they wanted, and she probably went on for about half an hour longer than the event because she just ran out of time.
I thought,
I also have to say that her son was lovely. So while his mum was there trying to get through all the kids, he started cleaning up. He was picking up all the bits and pieces off the floor. He was an absolute delight, and it was like he was fully involved in helping all the others. Yeah. So thanks to him.
which case, can we propose that we record our thanks to Patty in the minutes, for the work that she's done in it? And could I propose through, chair that we send a little note to the board thanking him through the mayor for staying beyond if the mayor's happy to write that. I think it's appropriate. We thank young people when they do the right thing. So often, that he did do that, and that's, you know, he could just sat there on the chair and watch, couldn't he? But he did do that. So if you're happy,
We've got her email address, so we can send it.
so it's not, it should be mayor. In which case we move on to Pancake Race now.
Shall I do that one?
Yeah, you can do the Pancake Race.
So just to note the report, I think quite a few places are up there, so it was a really busy bigger lady up there first of all, which I don't think we've had before, certainly not on the ones I've seen, so that went really well, and I think she's offered to do other bits. There were 6 races, the weather was kind to us, the ground was good, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, is it They gave us lots of gifts, and literally I don't think there was anyone who didn't leave with something, whether it was a little packet of sweets or some jam or some bread of salt. So, and there was all sorts of gifts that they gave us. Obviously, Councillor tried the events comparing and he kept everyone engaged. And thanks to Triff, who did a lot of work with the support caller, it was her first event that she's done for us, and I think she quite enjoyed doing it, didn't she? And yeah, so thanks to Triff and for supporting her. I'm not sure there's much more to say on that.
I thought she did really well, it was nice, it was my first pancake race as well, and I think it was really good to see. And it's cold, and although it was a cold day, still turned out, and it's a tradition, it seems it's become a real tradition in the town, which is nice to see.
Thank you. Right.
The walking race was a nightmare. And I think we need to make sure that whoever's deciding on first, second, and third actually has briefing, because there was children being destroyed from it because they haven't got frying pans. So that was a bit difficult with a 5-year-old. So yeah, that was a bit difficult. The walking race was a complete nightmare. I think we seem to get through them really quickly. I think we might be an idea in future, because there was one race which we've got loads and loads of people for. I think we need to look at whether we need to pre-register when we get there to say what race they're going into, then to decide whether we need to have a couple of heats on it, because that will make it take a bit longer from the start, because we seem to be able for it. Because we did
Gallop through it.
yeah.
I think we'll go back and talk about that at the end, but please remember doing that.
Thank you. I was going to ask about walking race because it's something that Franny picked up before. I think the last 2 CNE or something, so that I was just going to ask about that. Not very well. Answer my question.
I just wanted to know having a frying pan will have conditions to the rate. Because if it was, then they had to. I don't think it was the season phase. I think we need to make it clearer. That's
Yeah.
all participants must.
But then you can come to the registration.
Yeah.
I think
Quite fun.
I mean, I would have found it a 5-year-old, I would,
It's the pancake.
I know, but I would still.
I mean, there's probably just 5-year-olds were comfortable by hand.
Yeah.
That would- I think-
Yeah, that's cool. When you do like an egg and spoon.
I know.
I think what happened with this particular child, it actually did come in third place over the line. They'd arrived at the last minute. And just gone in there because we started.
No, I was just gonna say that I did obviously take part in the adults race, but I didn't want any of the judges to be accused of favouritism towards councillors, which was so I didn't ex. I did.
I took part in the yoga, but it was a disaster.
I thought it was fantastic.
I couldn't balance.
Very motivational.
I was having real difficulty finding my zone and my zen.
You didn't have any cord.
I didn't have any. I would sort of just stood there and
But you tried, Robert.
I just looked like I was going to face plant. You know.
Can I say you were not in that?
Yeah, we know. I think we needed to have Johnny, but in noting it, I think we've taken on board. Basically, to not be.
Everything, that's the idea, so I mean, we've got lots of talk to people to pre-register.
We don't want children upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a difficult enough because on where our event is, but
They come along all excited, but. Yeah, they don't. Which brings us on to food fair, which is much easier than the pancake race.
Very different parents.
Yeah.
You don't have really
Stop, so I mean, children need to know.
I've told you about parents and struggle there. Anyway.
so food fair.
Food fair. Once a minute, I have no parents in school. No one in my family would object to it. You'd have no trouble there. No. Right, we'll move on to food fair. Did it 4 times now. It was
So I think that went really well. We had a house in terms of stalls. The food trays outside, one did extremely well, and the other 2 didn't pay. They were, everyone inside, all the vendors inside were really happy, all the stall holders were pleased, some sold out really early. But the food vendors outside, there was one that was absolutely amazing, and we got so much trade. And your traders were a little bit, but they still have it. Ran did really well with charity raffle, raising £299. Most of the raffle price of 1, and the bear was given to the name of the bear now.
Good morning. I can't read off the top of my head, I feel like in my emails, yeah, it was, so the name of the bear was the name of the man that won it, Ricky.
What's that? Right.
Yeah, I think it went really well. I think we could raise more from those charities had we had the facility to take any card payments for the raffle tickets for donations again. Because people don't necessarily. I'm channeling Margaret here. It's a 10 licence, not a 10's licence. It's temporary event, it's just there's stuff in it. yeah, but yeah, the favourite dish competition, when we presented those prizes, and people were very happy with that. Good,
Please.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought it was a very, very good event again. I just wondered, are you allowed to say who the one that did very, very well? Because I saw the traders outside, but I don't know who you mean, the ones that did very, very well.
So there were 3 traders and the one in the middle, had lots of, everything was on display, all his food was out, and huge ones that we need to potatoes and all kinds of things. And he had everything out to see. It was very successful. He was engaged by a few.
Please.
Yeah, he was the trainer, he would do like bacon rolls, like hog roast rolls and
Right.
sort of, yeah.
Okay.
also very successful at the Christmas lights show. Yeah.
From my own view, they had me there. I had time to be there, and actually, I think that we could have opened a little bit earlier, let people in. They were wanting, they were coming, were ready to come in at 9:30, not 10. And people were sort of looking in the door, and I was keeping them for the period of time that I was clicking. And I did do a good clicking job. I was very good at clicking, and I managed to stay in one place, and it was marvellous. And but it was really hefty, and people were coming in that. And I don't know what it's like for other people to look over, but in that version, night. But of course, that in itself logistically means people have got to be ready. That means they've got to set up early, and I don't know whether they could have been ready earlier. In which case, maybe we consider that. Ravina.
Yeah, I just want to say that I took the last up, was it hour, the shift of the booking. I'm not so confident. However, when I arrived, a lot of the stalls had already sold out, so it's been very successful, and we have packed up in the last hour, and they, you know, there were gaps in there, so it was really, really successful event. So I think
Mr. Gin man now, all the gin people, local. Those two people. Yeah, different ones, yeah.
So, in terms of the start time, it's something that since the first time I was involved with this in 22, when we did the wash-up meeting and that, I said, I think we should be looking at starting earlier. And we did have a discussion about that when we had the meeting about it in mid-January, whatever it was. And by that time, all the promotional stuff was already done, the 10 o'clock start on it. So I think it's something that can be tweaked in the future. I think it's well worth doing so, because a lot of people do come early on Saturday morning to go and do the shopping.
Lucy, thank you. Lucy, everything. Did you have your hand there? No, it must have been my imagination. It must have been that clicking business. Ravina.
yeah, I just remembered my points after Fran was talking about the end of the starts. I think most traders are used to setting up pretty early, so I don't think that's going to be an issue with them at all. In the town centre, you know, people tend to do their shopping. They drop their kids off for sports or whatever, and then can they do the shopping and have the lunch grants. I think it would definitely work earlier as well.
So we have put that on the learning log, and I was here at 7:30, and there were people, the storeholders were already here to set up by 9:30, and apart from one who got caught in traffic, it was all set up and ready to go. So actually have to start any earlier, it could be the same time, half an hour. Said that the reason it didn't happen is because the 10 licence had been, or that was already submitted from 10. So and the site paperwork had already been done well in advance, and we couldn't, it wasn't possible to change it, we didn't talk about it.
And then we'll move to agreeing, no.
I'm like, the outside traders don't necessarily need to be ready at the same time that the indoor event starts.
Yeah.
They can still be doing the prep and setting up, which is sometimes the case,
I mean, just thank you everyone involved.
Yeah.
Those who gave at their time, the staff gave their time, and I'm pleased that the mayor's charity raised money. But there's a very important point there.
Yeah.
That we do, we need to make a recommendation to council to sort this payment method out, because it's no good having a mayor doing charity if we can't maximise the mayor's charity. If I had a conversation the other day about mayor's charity, and I realised that when the original council set up, I'm still on it because it was me who set that account up. So the reason Paul has set it up all those years ago is because we had a massive overdraft in our house, and if I'd had any money paid into my account, it would have went like that. Account part was looking after my well-being. I think in agreeing with that, I'd like to propose that it's seconded that we ask this to be sorted.
Yeah.
Is that
I think we need, in order to maximise the amount of money we're getting from charitable donations, we need to fight for it on the bank charges really.
But that's not a decision we can make.
No.
Make a recommendation.
This is,
It needs to be about resources.
asked for it to be looked into.
I know you may have asked, but I'm proposing it to the chair. We may not want to do it, no one may want to second it, but the only way you can get anything moving is by making a recommendation to the forces that have proposed that this matter is looked at with some urgency to resolve. Is anyone wishing to second that? Rebecca seconded that. All those in favour of that to start with? Yes.
Okay.
Well, you were forgetting which one of you.
There's no one who's in favour.
Continue, so it's like, they're not,
Right, okay, that's done. Right, thank you. Those in favour of the recommendation? Agreed unanimously. In which case we'll move on to the action list.
It was just a meeting.
I was going to say, it wasn't.
It's not a recommendation, we're just going to do
It
it.
doesn't matter, we're moving on to the action. There's nothing but very much to say. Nothing there to talk about. Youth council in progress. Well, we'll come back to future. Anna's working on that. Culture and art event, we've done that. One thing that I do think, I will say this, is we've now agreed the Buckingham plan has gone through its route. It says section 106 we complete, which I believe they're meeting on the 16th. But yes, but I do think that because it's nobody's fault, but when we were doing the consultation on the plan, for various reasons, we didn't get to put our input into the plan. Fortunately, everything we would have said pretty much about the culture and art stuff got included in the plan by osmosis. But I do think there's a point at some point in the future, the cultural arts of the town, something that we perhaps should have discussed as a sort of what would you expect? Because in the plan there's an aspiration that we have space for a theatre project or something, and if the plan goes through and the section 106 stuff looks at it, which won't be section 106, it will be still by the time it comes through. I think at some point we will need to agenda discussion around it, but this committee does events and stuff, so and we'll come back to it and agenda it.
But won't that go as part of the working group that's going through? But that will need to be.
No, with great respect, the working group is doing the plan. The culture and arts and events is here. And I think that there's some good voices on here at some point in the future. We'll need to again, I say this because I remember when Christine was there, we put, because when Robert passed away was there, it was discovered that we hadn't actually got a theatre producing site in Buckingham. So if you go from there all the way back there, we still have never ever achieved that cultural and arts centre in Buckingham. So whether it's something which has been important enough to get all the way through all those people, and for the first time, it's likely to be agreed in this year, and with future developments coming forward, I do think there's a space for at some point for us to talk about it, because the planning might talk about it, but we have arts and productions and events that we organise. I think that the synergies in here is different to the synergies in there. So,
For the purposes of this, for today,
no, I'm just saying, I'm not making any production or proposal, but I'm just saying that I think at a point in the future we'll need to, and that may not be a month, maybe 6 months, but I think it will need to, because I think these people in here will have that drive for the cultural stuff in this event. Speak, Joe. But in which case you just note those action lists. Which is 15, climate and action emergency plan. Very happy to note that. And we've done news and press releases within the agenda. In which case I'd like to propose that we trial of the Local Government Act 2017, foreign items will be heard into confidential. Is that agreeable?